There I go, giggling. Giggling again. I'm just a happy guy. What can I say? It's 6:35 on Friday night. Look at the back side of that. Isn't that cool? And I've got my songbook in front of me again because, well, Mark Paladino mentioned 2 more songs. And, well, last time he did that, I wound up with 2 MP3s to share with you, but we're going to wind up with more than that because Evan's back in LA today from San Diego. He's with Mark, and they're digging in tonight big time. Evan did a lot of work the past 3-4 days that he was in San Diego, and now he's back with that. Mark's done a lot of work, and now the 2 of them are coming together, and they're going to complete phase 2 of this project, which means by this time next week they'll have 43 songs that have all been cleaned up. You know, some of them had a little dropout here and there. You know, these tapes were really well preserved. You know, fortunately, because they were in California, it's very dry out there. If they were here in Jersey all these 50 years, they would have been maybe unsalvageable. But nonetheless, some of them had a little dropout here and there, and they had to clean that up. And they'll be going further with that kind of a thing the rest of this weekend and next week. But then we're going to have 43 songs. I imagine I am going to have some work to do next week on arranging them according to the times they were written, titles, copyright numbers, and so on. But well, Mark mentioned this one, Lightning and Stone. What year is that one? Lightning and Stone. You know, he mentioned it. That was 1972. Same year I wrote Keep Me Alive. I've seen lightning, I've seen stone, got a feeling I'm heading home. Sounds like something I'd write today. Meet me howling across the road like a breeze through the trees and carrying a sign of time. That's a good tune. And then he's especially been talking about this one, Like a Fool. Time is but a piece of rhyme, like a grief in the blackjack's night. Lonely, searching for a smile. And here we sit to hear a song, our thoughts should knit a tear so long and lonely for a smile. Here we go again, looking happy, like a fool. This song, was it last week I mentioned the duo I had, and he wanted to go back to Jersey to hook up with this management deal that we were being offered. This song is the cause of that management deal, because there was this guy at one of our shows from New York City, and he heard us singing Like a Fool, and I'm pretty sure this recording will be me and David Wood doing our duo thing, which, by the way, the name of the duo was Wood Post. I always like the name. But the weird thing about this is in the key of D. It goes from a D to an A minor 7 to a C to an F sharp. Now that is weird. The F sharp, no one would ever do that. It's like you're not supposed to do that. No one would ever think of doing it. It's wrong. But when you hear this song, you'll recognize that spot, because the melody, the way it moves up just a half step, is like, it just grabs you. Wonderful song. Can't wait to hear that. And I don't know what else to expect. You know, we've talked, my friends, about 4 songs, and you've heard 2 of them. But next week, I imagine I'll be aware of all 46. I can only imagine. And you know, these well, Like a Fool was from 1971. We'll see. Anyway, you've heard 2 songs from 72, 1973. Here I'm talking about 71 and 72. We've got songs from 69, quite a few of them. And well, it's going to be interesting to report 46 songs. How many songs from each year? That's going to be a powerful thing. This is what they call a young coconut. I took a sharp knife and I needed a hammer to get this hole in here. But wow, I'm telling you, it's the first time I ever had this. This is the most delicious coconut water I've ever had. It was in the fridge overnight, so when I did get to it earlier today, it was nice and cold. Can't wait to do another one with, I'm going to squeeze a lime in there. You put the lime in the coconut, drink them both together. I don't know if you heard that song or not. But anyway, also last night we did the live stream, and there were 2 spots in the hour. One where I was talking about Mark telling me how he's been experiencing this this peace that he can't understand. It's even like kind of scaring him. And I told you all, it's because of your prayers. Man, how beautiful is that? And then a little later on, maybe 6 minutes later in the live stream, caregiver pointed out how all of you in the chat were responding with tears and love for Mark Paladino, and expressed your love for him. So I sent him an email with 3 links. One was for the whole hour, knowing how busy he is. I sent him another link. I says, if you click on this, it'll take you right to that spot. I think it was around 18 minutes where I was talking about what he told me. And here's a third link. It'll take you right to the other spot. I think it's like 28 minutes, something like that, in where caregiver was sharing what you guys, how you guys were reacting. I know it's going to hit him, and I know it's going to be a big beracha to him. So we're rounding around, we're coming into phase 2 of this, and after this, I'm not sure which way it's going to go, but I'll be keeping you all posted on that. Now, last night's live stream, there was something I wanted to cover. Somebody asked, we're supposed to love others as we love ourselves. And I wanted to make this point because, and again, I think it was in last weekend's Sitting in the Word. Maybe it was the one before. I think it was last week, where I said that I was talking about Brad Scott and how he points out, you know, there's only 2 seeds in the world, and one of them is the seed of Yeshua, and you have the seed, it takes root, a plant comes up, a shoot comes out, a blossom off of that, a fruit off of the blossom turns into a fruit. And what's in the fruit? The seed that started it all. And I said that I come from a very special branch. And I've been wanting to make this point since then. And I'm kind of surprised I missed making it last night in the live stream. And so I want to make that point now, that what I said about myself, my friends, is true about all of us. It's true about you too. You are one of a kind. And you know, when I was doing that, I was saying, you know, there's no one on earth like Brad. There's no one on earth like me. There's no one on earth like Caregiver. There's no one on earth like you. And I also wanted to point out too, sometimes there are people out there, the ones that do this, they do it a lot. And I understand where they're coming from, and there's a truth in it, but it irritates me because there's a greater truth to be recognized. And if you know anybody that does this, or if you're one who does it, it's time to correct yourself. There are people out there who say, I am nothing, I am a worthless, I'm the scum of the earth, I'm nothing, I'm no good, I'm, you know, full of sin, you know, if it wasn't for Jesus, yada 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 yada. Now, whoever's doing that needs to stop it. Again, I'm thinking about Betty. Alan Horvath told me to shut up. If you're doing that kind of thing, shut up. Don't do that anymore. It's wrong. And, you know, last night in the live stream, the question being asked was, how do we love others the way we love ourselves? And I says, first of all, you have to learn to love yourself. A lot of people don't love themselves. And the first step in learning to love yourself is to learn who you are in Mashiach. I said that last night. And when you learn who you are in Mashiach, you are not a piece of dirt. You are not worthless. You are not nothing. You are an indescribably glorious creation of Elohim, like none other on earth in all of history. There is only one of you. How glorious, how exciting. You are one of a kind. You are special. You are beautiful. You are exciting. Once we realize who we are in Mashiach, we realize that we are, we've come off a shoot that's like none other. Our family tree, whatever. There's only one of us. And, you know, I'm a beautiful, magnificent being. I would never say anything less about myself, nor should you. That is the truth. And when you really get a grip on that truth, I believe that's what the word's talking about when it says love others as you love yourself. Because if you think you're a scumbag, you know, a worthless piece of garbage, oh, and if it wasn't for Yeshua, you know, I am nothing except, you know, in Christ I'm something, then, you know, if that's the way you look at yourself, that's the way you're looking at everybody else. I'm sorry, man, I cannot agree with that. When you realize who you are in Mashiach, when you realize that there There's only one of you in all of 6,000 years of creation. That's when you start looking at other people and seeing Elohim. That's when you look at somebody else and you realize what a beautiful creation they are. And then I talked about the barking dogs. That's different. And you know, I don't know how to explain that. I certainly, initially I'll look at somebody like that in the way that I've just been talking about, but when they just start barking at me like I am worthless and like I'm only here to satisfy whatever they decide their need for me is in that moment. Pardon my French, but I get pissed off. And that's when I kick the dog across the street, because it's not, I don't know what happened to that person, but it's not a person talking to me, it's a demon talking to me, and I'm like, bam, get out of here. I'm not one to start, you know, exercising people on the spot. It's just not my calling. Now, you know, I'm not saying that person is worthless. I'm just saying that I recognize a demonic stronghold and Satan trying to wrap a ribbon of darkness around me, and I recognize that stuff like that, and I cast it down. That's another subject, my friends. That's another subject. Loving others, or it says love your neighbor. I should look at that scripture, get that English word, neighbor, and let's see what the original Aramaic Hebrew was there, because it's probably talking about loving your brother. And you know, like I told the barking dogs, you're no brother of mine. You and I are unevenly yoked. You are not in the flock that I am in. I do not consider you my brother, because I don't hear you expressing the doctrine of Mashiach. I hear you expressing a doctrine of darkness. Now, I don't mean to keep kicking a dead dog, but, you know, it's just been coming up. And maybe because the barking dog still has not stopped barking, that the Ruach has me pointing out some new information about that stuff. But please understand, I have no hard feelings towards any barking dogs. I have no feelings towards them at all. I write them off. I cut them off. My concern is serving Elohim and feeding Yeshua's lambs. Period. Anything gets in the way of that, I get aggressive. And again, that's partly because I'm a Jersey boy. It's the way I grew up. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. Think of Yeshua when he walked into his father's house and started kicking the money tables over. Yeah. Righteous anger. Yeah. Righteous indignation. There's a difference between that and the righteousness of dark righteousness, self-righteousness, dark indignation. So, I guess maybe that's our sitting in the Word. This coming Thursday, Abba willing, we'll have a live stream with Brad Scott. I can't wait, because I just, we've got questions, and I just love the wealth of information that comes out of that man. And then I mentioned we might have Scott Clark on March 8th. I think that's going to get nixed because I think I'll be sleeping, you know. I'll be on the dark side of the moon doing the stealth live stream. And also I think I have some things I want to get to before we dig in with Scotty again. And also I've been thinking maybe maybe Scotty needs to come out with a new video before we can sit down and talk with him to see where he's at, because he hasn't said anything in, I don't know, a half year. So what are we going to talk about? It's just thoughts I've been having. I'll be talking to Scotty about that. But that's, you know, I got the door open. I'm surprised the wind suddenly calmed down before I started shooting, but the wind was whipping around out there like crazy. It's February. This is supposed to be the coldest month of the year in New Jersey. And yesterday and today it was 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, is going to be 70 degrees. That's unheard of for February. Those are, you know, those are late spring, early summer temperatures. Things are pretty crazy. Anyway, that's it for this week, my friends. As always, I remind you, keep your wicks trimmed and keep your lamps ablaze. Shalom, Chavarim.